A lot of the time, my fishing is planned. I sort of know where I'm going from week to week, and we have a little bit of a set out of what we're going to be doing. But this week is a little bit different. We started off the start of this week with the intention of filming something, but the weather changed slightly, which meant that it wasn't sort of doable or feasible. So we come up to Linear Fisheries. As I know you're all thinking, you fish Linear a lot. I absolutely love the place. But there's one place in particular that in all of my years that I've ever fished here, I've only ever been able to get on once, and that is Henman Hill on St John's. Now we are prime time now. It's the start of May. They start sort of migrating up here as the water starts to warm up, and it's an area of the lake that I don't even attempt to walk around because I always know that there's going to be somebody in there. We was actually just having a little mooch around, me and Brad, enjoying the sun, debating actually whether to wear trousers or wear shorts because it's quite warm. And the guy pokes his head out that's on Henman Hill, and you're all going to think, oh, it's a stitch up, you set this up, but we haven't. And he said, how's it going, mate? I'm just about to go home if you're interested in somewhere to fish. So I'm round here now. I've whipped the trousers off, the shorts are on, the barrel's on sports mode. I'm going to get the rest of the kit out the van, and we're going to have an impromptu session over on St John's on Henman Hill in prime time. I'm probably just tempting fate now. We fished here once, we've done a session film once here with Scott, but yeah, this gear's coming out of here. We're going around on Henman Hill. Let's have it. Well, we may only have one night ahead of us, but I am super excited. Henman Hill in May. Let's do this. Sports mode. In forward. Here we go then. We were round in the peg and I set my gear up in record time. I think part of that was because I'm so excited to fish in here, because I don't, like I say, get the opportunity that many times to go in here, and also because we've only got one night, so I want to make the most of it. And what I have done is I fished in here, like I say, 10 years ago, and I never fished the far margin, which is quite a big mistake that people make when they come in this peg. They fish the back margin, it stops the fish from coming in and almost sort of stacking up behind where you're fishing, and ultimately you want to create a little bit of a safe space. And I remember I was fishing around 80 yards, so I've clipped this up to 80 yards. I know it's going to be a couple of free rod lengths off the far side. I'm going to find the clearest spot that I possibly can. One's literally just boshed out there now, and I'm going to put 2 rods. I'm only going to fish with 2 rods. The reason for that is it's shallow. There's a lot of weed out there as well, and if you fish with 3, I don't want to be getting dramas with the other rods all night. So 2 rods, much easier to manage, can fish more efficiently. We're clipped up. We're having it. I'm excited. Sun's out, shorts are on. All we need now is a cherry coke and a carp. As I said, this is already clipped up. I know it's not going to hit the far side, and like I said, I want to fish a long way this side of that far margin, so wherever feels the cleanest, whether that be where it lands now or if I drag it back, I want to almost be fishing in an area as clear as this gravel, because this sort of light flossy weed that's around could cause a real hindrance. So a nice big blatant clear spot. Here we go on the clip. Crack. See what we got here, shall we? Just crystal clear. That's the one. No need to make any more chucks than that. I'm just getting some lead clips on. In terms of main line, for this particular trip, I'm going to be using braid with a fluorocarbon leader. And the reason for that is up here it is quite weedy. It's not, I say it's not thick weed, it's sort of like the matted weed, which when you're fishing with mono, it can sort of catch on it quite easily and quite quickly. And you don't, I don't know whether it's just me, but I don't feel like I'm in contact with the fish all the time, whereas with braid, if that fish starts pulling through that weed, you're almost relying on the speed of the braid going through it, and it sort of cuts it away, and it just makes fishing in weed that much easier. So like I say, I've got fluorocarbon leader on there as well, so might get a little bit of weed pick up around the leader knot, but I don't think it's going to be a major problem. Fishing it on a naked lead clip setup, much like I do all the time, and the spot that I found is quite clear. There's the odd bit of weed on it, which I'm assuming is going to be where the fish are just sort of pushing it around as they're moving through the area. So I'm going to go for long booms on my Ronnie's spinners, whatever you want to call them, with yellow pop-ups. I'm going to sort of go quite heavy on the sweet corn with the mix. Not going to go in with any naturals, and the reason why I'm not going in with any naturals is because the catfish are also active, and the last thing that I want to be doing is dragging them into my peg. I don't mind catching the odd one or two, but I'm here to catch carp. I've only got one night to catch carp, and I don't want to be attracting them into the peg. If I find that maybe I might need to add something in it to bring them down, drag them down to get a bite, then I will look to add a bit of chopped worm, but I'm going to go straight in, sweet corn, little bit of pellet, little bit of crushed boilie, much like I would do, or a bit of an old school mix, so to speak. 10 or 15 pods to start, 2 rods over the top. I'm still sitting here now, and I cannot believe I've managed to walk around. No one will believe it, but we just walked around here and this peg was free. I just can't believe it. Of all the times I come up here and walk around, this peg is never free. Or if it is, there's a bucket waiting behind it for someone to go in there. But we're in Henman Hill. Love it. My dentist said I shouldn't use my teeth. Not that I have a dentist. Not with they old pearlies. Tom! I just whizzed to the back of the swim for a quick wee, and the left hand rod is away already. I don't reckon they've been out there 20 minutes. I was excited to come up here before we'd even got the gear out of the van. But yeah, a bit of weed out there. I'm glad I put the braid on now. Bit of steady pressure. Using Henman Hill to its advantage. Well, for those of you that have seen the Dupier film, which I hope is all of you, you'll see there that I use the high bank to my advantage. There's no point pulling from a low sort of area of the swim if you have got means of getting up a little bit higher. And that there, I literally got above the fish as best as I possibly could, given the distance out that I'm fishing. Simply popped it up away from whatever it was caught around. And we are now in contact with a rather angry St John's carp. Nice fish there. That's a lovely fish, that. Start the old trip with a good fish. Yes. That is Henman Hill in May. Unit that. Well, being as prepared as what I am, I'm getting the rod straight back out there because I don't want to tempt fate, but I do think we're on for a few more bites, but I want to make the most of every minute that I'm here because that fish in there is a real good fish. Not only is it big, but it's scaly as well. And we have also seen the big ghosty up here, which last come out at 48 pounds. So that could be a similar weight, if not bigger, given the time of year. So this rod's going back out and we're getting liners on that one. But what I am going to do though, worth mentioning, is I'm not going to put any more bait out. I put about 12 or 14 bombs to start with, which is the similar amount to what I would put everywhere else. I'm only fishing a little over 18 rod lengths was eventually the spot that I ended up fishing. And it was mainly corn, a few tiger nuts that I found in the van, and about 40 or 50 broken boilers in there as well. I've just had one bite on a yellow pop-up. I'm just not having it that they've ate all of the bait, so I'm going to give it at least another sort of 45 minutes to an hour without putting any more bait in. Then I'm going to probably redo the rods, put them back out, a little bit more bait over the top. And middle of the day like now is never very good. I could go right up to the margin to the left, which is where this peg we're actually in is very famous. This is the one where Corder filmed the underwater film. Could go along that margin. I think it would do me a quick bite, but I want to get my spot established out there. But little does Brad know, if it carries on fishing well through the night, we ain't sleeping. Brad. Want another one? Yeah. Tanked off the floor, didn't it? Well, I don't know if the GoPro would have picked up that calamity there, but I was just changing the rod angle because I wanted the tip to lower down because there's quite a lot of floating weed, and I thought I'd actually hooked around the line with the bobbin, and the right hand rod's gone this time, so we were into another carp. Unbelievable. 2 bites within probably half an hour. Ridiculous. There we go. Have a lovely St John's mirror carp. One more. Madness in May is all I can say. Cool, flipping out, that's quite big that. Well, there's a bit of water on board, but... Oh. Jesus Christ, look at that. This is without a doubt one of the most incredible carp I've ever caught from anywhere. And he is just over 35 pounds. Wow. Impromptu trips are always the best trips. Oh my God, have a look at this. Get a load of that guy, Bradley. Now, I've been fortunate enough to catch a fair few carp in my time, and I caught a fair few off the Linear complex, but there's always fish in here that avoid me at whatever weight. Check that out. Even the planes come to have a visit. Just over 35 pounds of St John's mirror carp. Simply breathtaking. A fish that I've never caught from here before, and you would know looking like that. The first of 2 quick bites, and the other one is looking like a 30 pounder as well. Boy, am I glad we come here on an impromptu trip. St John's gold. Ha ha!
Got another one in there as well, yeah.
Yeah, it's got a 30, probably mid-30 similar size.
Oh my God.
Well, thankfully, we're just finished with that amazing 35 pounder on the bank. He's actually just down here. We're just going to release him now, but I sort of wanted to get to the rod before it made its way to the trees at the back, and I'm in again. Unbelievable. Almost running out of things to say. I think we just have to start playing a little bit of music over the playing action. Like I said though, brothers, we won't be sleeping tonight, will we? Big old Susans. like an older one. That's a proper old one. There we go. Bite number 3. Carp number 3. Good start, brothers. That'll do for me. Well, this was the one that soon followed that 35. This one here, a little over 30 pounds. And whilst I was putting the 35 back and this one was still in the net, it went again, and I've got yet another St. John's carp in the net. I did expect a little bit of action, I'm not going to lie, but I didn't expect it to be quite this instant, this quickly. And that 35 just blown me away. What a carp, what a carp. But look at that, another fish over 30 pound. Loveliest of times, as they say. Angry carp. Well, there's not many of these left swimming around in St. John's now. In fact, the biggest one was one known as Black Eye, and he's no longer in here anymore. And these are the original, very old St. John's Oxfordshire carp. So to catch one of these is a real privilege. But all 3 fish that I've had so far have all been very different. You know, you've got that really nice scaly 35, which in fact, I think is one of the younger fish that's flying through the ranks. The other scraper 30, and then this one here, probably older than me. In fact, it will be a lot older than me. Just over 25 pound. A real mixed bag start here at St. John's. I've only been fishing a couple of hours. Lovely. Proper old, isn't it? Off you go, my old mate. So I've just dealt with and put back those 3 lovely carp, and like I keep saying, what a great start to the trip here at Henman Hill. But I'm just going to talk a little bit about this swim in particular. First of all, it's called Henman Hill, much like the famous Henman Hill at Wimbledon. Behind the peg here is a rather large embankment. It sort of mimics the Henman Hill around Wimbledon, so that's where it got its name originally. And more recently, I'm sure all of you would have seen that this was where Corder filmed the underwater video. They caught a whole host of carp, but they caught the one that I think so many anglers would have dearly loved to have caught. That is the big plated. It is one of Oxfordshire's greatest ever carp, probably one of the great, certainly in my opinion, for day ticket angling, one of the greatest carp that has ever swum in a day ticket venue, and that is why this swim has become so popular. But time and time again, even though loads of anglers come in here, and obviously referring back to the video again, pink pop-ups was what worked for the boys on the underwater video. They get loads of pink pop-ups chucked at them all through the year, but always around this time they sort of start to migrate up here because it's the shallower end of the lake. It's very weedy up here. It's coming up to spawning time. I reckon we're still 3 to 4 weeks off, given sort of the low temperatures that we've had towards the start of the spring, and they sort of migrate into this area, but they keep coming back time and time again. So really, when you come in a peg that gets fished in a very similar way, week in, week out, I always try and do something a little bit different. Now, when you come in this peg, there's no one can fish the margin opposite you, or no one can fish on the margin down to the left. And obviously the first spot that everybody talks about is where the underwater camera was. Everybody fishes there, but there is still carp lingering around even there now today. But I like to fish it slightly different. And because I've fished a lot of busy places over the years, one thing that I've always sort of learned and taught myself really is don't push the maximum of your boundary straight away. Now, the way in which it works here is obviously you're fishing up to the far margin. The peg to my right can also fish that far margin. But if I come away from that sort of 3 to 4 rod lengths, even though it doesn't sound a lot of water, sort of 3 to 4 rod lengths in depth, you've got probably 6 to 10 rod lengths in width. Now, in terms of day ticket fishing, that is a lot of water. It's an area that gets the sun on it all day. There's weed over there. There's overhanging trees over there. and it just screams carp, and the carp hold up there all the time. If I fish from where they want to be, it gives them a reason not to be there. So all I do is I come away from that far margin. Also as well, it's a lot safer, you know, certainly when you're fishing through the hours of darkness, it means that I'm not having to fish locked up to snags. I'm not worrying about sort of oversleeping potentially, or taking a little bit longer to get to the rod and running the risk of a fish going in to them trees. All it means is I can drag them away and I can catch them how I want to catch them. I do believe that if I was to chuck over to that far side, I would probably get quicker bites. But then also what you got to consider, if you're here for 48 hours and you're unable to get your rigs back out under those trees during the hours of darkness, you've pretty much cut your session in half. So by fishing at a nice distance off the bank, I know I'm not going to go up the trees. I've got a nice big far horizon marker to aim at, and it means that I can fish effectively and accurately all of the time. Now, when it comes to finding a spot, it's very weedy up here, but I'm not looking to try and find low-lying weed. I'm not looking to try and find any of the silt, because I don't think you're going to find any of that. I want to find the most obvious gravel area. These fish that are coming up here, they're coming up here to sun themselves. They're not coming up here to make it hard work for themselves to try and find the food. If you fish up underneath the trees, it is like pea shingle. So I want to try and find that off of the trees. And as luck would have it, when I fished in this peg, the one time that I've managed to get in it all those years ago, I'm fishing at exactly the same marker, almost at the exact same distance. And that area is still clear, because I believe that probably a lot of anglers coming in, maybe most of them don't want to fish to that far side, or they can't, so they end up fishing a little bit closer, which means that spot is always nice and clear. So it's always worth considering whenever you're fishing any venue, whether it be day ticket or syndicate, never push your boundaries straight away, because you give the carp a reason not to be there. You can't explore any more water because you've used it all, but catch them somewhere where you know you're going to get bites, but you're going to be able to fish for them safely and efficiently, and ultimately you're going to be able to maintain the best accuracy that you possibly can